I turned 30 years old today. 3 decades on Earth. And in this video, I'm just going to share the 30 most important lessons that I've just journaled down on my phone here that I wish I knew when I was in my 20s, wish I knew that I was in my teens, and I want to take forward into my 40s. And for anybody of you who don't know me, my name's Ibrahim. Kind of started my online entrepreneurship journey just after university, where I decided not to go and do investment banking, which is what I was supposed to do after doing my economics degree. And instead, I moved into this shed. I'm actually back visiting my family this is my family home. This is my garden. I used to work in that shed, that very shed behind me, for 10 hours a day while all my friends were out doing their 6-figure jobs, just trying to figure out how to create a life of freedom, right? I'm blessed to have a beautiful lifestyle now. Most of the time I live in Bali and I get to travel around the world. I make really good money doing so. And right now I can say at 30, I'm actually living the life of my dreams that I set out when I was 20, which is pretty cool. And it's kind of cool how we've come full circle. It's funny, I was supposed to be going to a trip to Serbia to visit some really cool friends out there, very, very successful guys, amazing human beings. They had I saw my friend who did make it, they had a band that showed up for them at the airport. They were partying on boats and yachts and having just an amazing time. And that leads me to my first lesson, which is that I actually had no FOMO. And I'm completely content with being here at my family house. I was hanging out with my mom, my sister, my 2 nephews, my little cat Fred's walking in there, as you might see him in the scene behind me. I genuinely couldn't be more happy and content. And that is to be able to honestly say that is a beautiful lesson, because previous Ibrahim, younger Ibrahim, was always looking at what everybody else was doing, what they'll post on Instagram or Snapchat back in the day, and thinking like, oh, I want to be doing that. I think it just came about because I wasn't internally fulfilled. And that brings me on to really the first and probably one of the most important lessons. And it's the thing that I always say, so if you've been following me, you should know what I'm about to say, which is that your internal state equals your external reality, right? What you think, what you feel internally is what then manifests in the external through the vibration you put out, through the actions you take. And I think this is why I've been able to live such a blessed life, surrounded by such incredible people that I used to watch online or look up to, who are now friends of mine. Not because of how much money I make or status or anything like that. It's because of who I am as a person. And that's why I put that as the first lesson. Okay. Second lesson. I actually learned this from Tony Robbins when I was 19 years old, so 11 years ago. The quality of your life, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your emotion. I would not have believed that as my younger self. Emotions, forget your emotions. You just need to get on and do your work, stay on your mission, discipline. All of that is true. But what I have realized is through going through that hustle and grind phase in my life, where I just sacrificed everything to work in that friggin' shed literally behind me for so long. And I do believe there's a time and a place for that, by the way. If you're not where you want to be and you're in pain and you're suffering right now and you just got to do what you got to do to get out of it, by all means, continue to do that. But there also is a space and a time to really recognize that why are you doing what you're doing anyway, right? The reason you're doing it is ultimately to have a better life, to create security, to attract a partner, to look after a family, to feel security, to feel free. These are actually all linked back to just feeling an emotion, right? So the more you can learn to give yourself love, give yourself those emotions, just the more happy and content that you are. And I think, I'm literally just thinking out loud right now, I think that is why I feel so happy and content. And regardless of where I am, I couldn't be happier to be with my family. But also if I was in Serbia, where I was supposed to go, I'd also be super happy there, right? hoping this plane going overhead isn't ruining the sun right now, but I would also be happy there. So if you can be content, regardless of your environment, I think that's a superpower. And I'm on my way, getting there. All right, third one. You will only regret the risks you didn't take. Yesterday, I had a really cool young guy. Funnily enough, he was 22, just finished university, and he's starting an agency. He got on a call with me, and he basically wants to do what I've done with my agency, scale it up, create this life, right? And he's sitting there in his bedroom at his parents' place. He's got his bookshelf behind him, many of the same books that I'd read. And, he just said, "You're where I want to be." And this guy wasn't making any money yet with his agency, but he knew where he wanted to go. And he could see me there. And he was like willing to invest. And I have two different I'm not going to go deep into this right now. I have two different programs. And he wanted to go for my high ticket program, which, isn't cheap. And I actually had to convince him to go for the slightly less expensive one because I thought that was generally what was best for him. But he wanted to just go all in, right? He signed up with me the same day, took him out for sushi. We're in London. We have a 3-hour dinner. And he sent me the most beautiful message this morning. His life has already changed because of that, because he took that risk. And when I look back at my own life, it's when I found that first mentor when I was in university. And that a man named Marcus, who was 30 and I was 20, came in to my university, and he was exactly where I wanted to be. Had a successful agency, a wonderful family, a wonderful life. And I got him to be my mentor, and I learned so much from him. Funnily enough, I just met up with him recently. He's just turning 40, I'm turning 30. So it's been a whole decade, and we met at a private members club in London, and it was awesome just to see how things go full circle, right? And now we help each other with stuff as well. That's how these relationships can evolve. All happen from taking risks. I have no regrets, and I'm proud of the risks and jumps I've taken to get here. Last Saturday, I held my first mastermind for Conscious Entrepreneur, which is my coaching and community. And they got me a surprise cake. The guys, 24 guys in there, all absolute legends. And I really was surprised. I was a little bit tipsy, to be honest. So any of you guys watching this, I know my speech was terrible. It was because, one, I'd had a margarita and a half and I'd never drink. So I was super tipsy. And I was trying to think of what's something good to say and valuable to say. Most of these guys are younger than me in the room. And what I said was, I can truly say I can look back at my 20s without regret because I took the jumps, I took the leaps, I stretched myself, and I have none. And I think that's an amazing, amazing thing to be, because when you look at people who are 80, 90, 100 years old, it's always some regret that they wish they could have done something different. They wish they could have told that person they loved them. They wish they took that risk to start that business. They wish they took the risk to go to that country. And those are the things they regret. And I remember learning that when I was younger. So I've made sure to live this decade of my life taking those chances, and it's always, always, always paid off. Time is both real and an illusion. Okay, I actually feel younger right now and more time rich than I did in my 20s. When I was in my teens and 20s, I felt like I had no time. I felt like I had to make it based on, guys I saw online, comparing myself to them. Whereas now, I feel like I've got the most time in the world, and the amount I can do in a day when I'm actually in a flow state and actually aligned to my mission and what I'm supposed to be doing is incredible. So time is an illusion. The next concept, number 6, is who, not how. I taught this at the mastermind on Saturday. I actually learned this from my mentor, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, so credit goes to him. But what I realized is every quantum leap forward comes from a person, right? Either a person, a mentor, or a relationship, not from just doing more of the thing. So let's say you want to make more money. Yes, you can make more money by just doing more sales, for example, but to get those 10x jumps forward, those leaps, it's always going to come from a person, whether it's letting go of a relationship, right? It might be getting out of a relationship that's bad for you. That one decision, got the trains going by, that one decision can mean you take that next leap into doing what you're supposed to be doing. I remember in my previous relationship, when I got out of it, Now, the very next day, I started my previous coaching company, Quantum Mind, which is now evolved into Conscious Entrepreneur today, but it's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I felt held back in that relationship because the relationship wasn't aligned to where I was going. Finding the right team members. My right-hand man, I call him Machine Mohid because he's an absolute machine. Love you, bro. He runs my entire company for me. And without him, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, right? Who, not how. And the mentors I found, right? The people who are where I want to be. Again, it's getting close to them, learning from them, proximity to them that's got me forward. So that's a big one. Who, not how. The most important decision you'll make is who you choose to spend your life with. It's not the business model. It's not how many times you go to the gym. It's not whether you do intermittent fasting or not. It's not how much you meditate. Well, that's very important. It's who you choose to spend your whole life with. So number 8 is, leading on from that, is choose someone who you love, respect, have aligned values with, most importantly, and who you'd go to war with. Again, at this event on Saturday that I held, we talked about relationships for an hour, sitting in a boardroom in Mayfair in London, and we're talking about doing breath work and talking about relationships. I love it. It's my dream. And somebody asked me, like, what's the most important thing in a relationship to you? And if I had to put it down to just one thing, I would say it's having aligned values. Because say, for example, you value having a growth mindset and you continually want to grow. Well, if the person that you're with doesn't have that, eventually you're just going to grow in different directions and grow apart, right? So finding somebody with the same values is so important. Another example would be if you want to have kids and your partner doesn't want to have kids. Again, eventually it's just not going to work, right? Because you're going to get to that stage where it doesn't work anymore. So finding someone who you have those shared values with and you can grow together is probably the best advice I've given myself that I can pass on to you. Men need respect. Women need love more than anything. I'm going to mic drop that one because I might trigger some people, but it's true. Time is your most valuable asset. Use it wisely. Number 11, internal freedom is equally as important to external freedom. Internal freedom is what's going on in your internal state, the quality of your thoughts, your emotions. External freedom is like time, location, and financial freedom. I've had time, location, and financial freedom and felt completely internally not free. I felt depressed. I felt anxious. I felt in my head. I felt insecure whilst having more material than I've ever needed. So they're equally as important. Don't neglect one or the other. All right, this one's a mental model. Quick story about this one. So 5 months ago, I was in Bali and I met somebody in the sauna who recognized me from online. And it turned out that this guy was a monk. And he asked me a question. This question was, what would you do if you knew you only had 12 months left to live? That question fundamentally changed everything for me because that's when I realized I would not be doing what I was doing. And it caused me to completely change my business model, which was my agency model, and actually to now do the teaching and mentoring that I now do as Conscious Entrepreneur. And that one question changed everything for me. So I'd encourage yourself to ask yourself that question because it may help you get into more alignment like it did to me. Number 13, brotherhood is essential to become the best version of yourself. I'd say it's only in the last few years I've really found what true brotherhood means. Having brothers who you can go to war with, who'll be there for you no matter what, who you can push each other, who you can be honest with each other, brutally love each other, be vulnerable with each other. It's so important for men specifically to have that because women can do that easier. They can be vulnerable, they can open up, they can talk about these things, but men don't tend to. So finding brotherhood in these last few years has been incredible for me. It's one of the best things for my mental health as well. Let go and let God. God truly comes before everything. Whenever you're going through something, a challenge in your life, when you've got God, you can always look up. And when you look up and put God first, everything pales in comparison to God. Got to leave that one there. Number 15, choose love over fear in every moment. Number 16, a challenge is a trigger. Let me rephrase that. A challenge or trigger is your biggest growth opportunity. Every time something's tough, every time something annoys you, triggers you, frustrates you, realize that is the universe, that is God trying to teach you a lesson somewhere where you are currently struggling or unhealed or need to do some inner work around it. Use that as an opportunity and see it that way and be grateful for it. Lean into fear. It's guiding you towards your higher self. Number 18, I owe much of my success to mentors, but don't put them on a pedestal. You're equal to them. They just know more than you. Number 19, follow your intuition. The times when I moved to Bali, I got a plane ticket. I got a one-way. I didn't know anyone except one guy, my boy Kwa, who I just met online, spoke like 2 times. That was it. But I moved out my apartment in London, got a one-way ticket. It was the best decision I ever made in my entire life. Number 20, certainty and significance fulfill your ego. Number 21, growth and contribution fulfill your soul. I used to be so focused by certainty and, wanting to make sure I had this level of security, and I wanted people to know who I was and be significant. And these are human needs that we have. Learned this from Tony Robbins. But the needs of the soul are really growth and contribution. And the more I focused on growing and contributing, the more fulfilled I have felt. Running a business is the greatest personal development tool that exists, besides potentially having children, because I don't know what that's like yet because I haven't done it. So anytime, business isn't just about making the money, it's about who you become in the process of that, right? It forces you to grow in ways that you would never have had the opportunity to grow in otherwise if you were not running a business. That is why I love business so much, because it constantly challenges me. And when I was working a 9-to-5 job, I just felt like I wasn't going anywhere. I could see the progression, and it was the guy in the 50 years old at a desk in front of me, barely making more money than I was making. And so that's why I love business, because it forces you to constantly grow. If you compare, don't do so and feel less than. Be inspired because you can do it too. Comparison is one of the biggest things that we suffer with, particularly with online, because you can see what everyone in the world is doing. But if you're going to compare, which, let's be honest, you can't not to some degree, use it as inspiration. If you can see them doing it, realize that you can do it too. And if you look at someone and you feel worse about yourself, maybe you shouldn't follow them. Maybe you shouldn't be letting them into your energy. Maybe there's a reason why you feel bad, and it's because of their intention, right? Remove it. Only surround yourself with people who inspire you. 24. You're right, mate. Do you want to say hello to YouTube? I'm making a YouTube video.
Hello.
This is Teddy, who's going to be a YouTuber. When are you starting your YouTube channel?
This year, I think. I'm not sure.
This year. Let's do your first video this year. Let's make it happen.
Mate, I don't know. I might do it next year.
I'm going to help you make it happen, all right? So that's my little nephew, Teddy. There he is. He's starting a YouTube channel. Who would have thought that starting a YouTube channel would be a real thing? And now it's probably the best opportunity that you can take. My other nephew's here. Do you want to say hello, Donnie? Come and say hello. I'm making a YouTube video. Do you want to say hi? Look who it is. This is my little nephew, Donnie. I know, don't we look like twins? Say hello. We'll give him some lessons right now from what Uncle Ebert's like. 24. Your 20s is for taking risks. That's it, mate. Taste everything. You might do it. You might be the best at something that you never even considered.
You know how I tell people to taste things?
Yes.
I ran a fucking liquor store. I ran the e-commerce wine business. The furthest thing from my fucking mind was starting a vlog about wine in 2006. But then I tasted something and it changed my fucking life. Maybe you're the best surfer in the world. Maybe you're the best caviar fucking chef on the planet. You gotta try shit when you're this young.
When I was in my early 20s, this was what Gary Vee told me. I try and overlay a clip. And I remember he said, you might be the best wine taster in the world, you might be the best surfer in the world, but you don't know unless you actually try it and taste it. And that's what your 20s is for. Taking risks, trying things. In your 30s, I have no idea what's going to happen. So I need some 40-year-olds to give me some advice on that. 26. Meet everyone you look up to realize that they're not so different from you. So one of the things I've done in my life is all the people who I thought, were cool or inspired me, I made an effort to connect with them or meet them. All these guys in my space, which is mainly the online space, right? And by meeting with them, sometimes they say, don't meet your heroes. I think that's complete trash if the people you actually look up to are cool people. Because when you meet them, you realize that they're just like you and they just took some different actions, and then it makes the level of belief you have so much stronger, because if they can do it, so can you. As a man, your mission comes first, right? I woke up, 30th birthday, at 8 a.m. I took a sales call, right? And I took that call because I truly wanted to take the call. And that was when I realized, okay, cool, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, because I'm enjoying this. And I would rather take a sales call on my actual birthday at 8 a.m. than anything else. Of course, I'm spending time with family and having fun as well. It's not about being a workaholic, but it is about, sorry, I thought he was going to shoot me there. He's a bit of a nutter. It is about focusing on that mission above all else first, okay? So if you're like me, you may be blessed to know a lot of people, or maybe you don't know a lot of people right now. But over the last few years, I've been blessed to become friends with a lot of people. But what I've also found is that you can count your true friends on both of your hands. True friends meaning the ones who will show up for you, who will answer a call, who will help you with stuff, who you can show up for, who you can pour into, people who lift you up and are there through the hard times as well as the good times. When you go through some hard times, that is when your true friends will reveal themselves. If you haven't been through hard times, in my opinion, you don't know who your true friends are. So that's an old man one. That's what my dad always used to say to me. Number 29. There are the two biggest lies. The two biggest lies that you're told are, goes into number 30. 1, you are not good enough. 2, you will not be loved. When you lift up the veil, you realize that both of these things are illusions. Every single fear that you have in life, every single limiting belief comes back down to these two lies. You are not enough. You are not loved. You are enough. You are loved. And I'm talking from God here, from a spiritual level, not a human level. And when you truly recognize that, you become internally free. There's my 30 lessons from turning 30. Hope you enjoyed. Comment below which one was your favorite or which one you resonated with. Peace.